He didn't just sleep with someone's wife. He did it in secret. He did it for months. He dropped his guard, left a trail of crumbs, and a man named Marcus followed every single one. By the time it was over, that man had no wife, no job, no house, no state to call home. And Marcus, he didn't yell. He didn't threaten. He didn't even break a sweat. He just made one phone call. This is the story of the most cold, calculated, and completely legal revenge the internet has ever seen. Let's set the scene. It's the early 2000s. The internet is young, flip phones are cool, and a man named Marcus is living what looks like a perfectly normal life. He's got a house, a decent job, 2 little kids, ages 4 and 6, and a wife named Diane. Now Diane seems fine on the surface. She's got a part-time job. She smiles at dinner. She tucks the kids in at night. But something is off. Marcus can feel it. That quiet, gnawing feeling in his chest that something in his home has shifted. He just can't prove it. Then the kids start talking. Little things, innocent things, the way kids do. "We went to grandma's again today, Daddy." And Marcus thinks, okay, that's normal. But then it happens again, and again, and again. 2, sometimes 3 times a week, Diane is supposedly driving the kids 90 minutes away to her parents' house. On days she isn't working. That's almost every single day. Marcus asks her about it. She says it's fine, nothing to worry about. But Diane was never a good liar. And Marcus was never a fool. Marcus decides to stop asking questions and start finding answers. He does something simple, something smart, something she never saw coming. He starts tracking the mileage on Diane's car every day, every trip, every mile. And the numbers don't lie. She is driving nearly 400 extra miles every single week. 90 minutes to her parents' house doesn't add up to 400 miles. Not even close. Then fate steps in. One afternoon, Marcus sits down at the family computer, and there it is, a small yellow sticky note, stuck right to the side of the monitor. Diane's email password, written in her own handwriting. Now Marcus is not a man who snoops. He's not a man who digs through drawers or reads private messages. But that password sat there like a flashing neon sign. So he logged in. Inside Diane's AOL inbox, Marcus finds a thread of emails between Diane and her college best friend. And what he reads destroys him. Diane has been sleeping with a man from her past, a high school ex-boyfriend, regularly, for months. But that's not even the worst part. In those same emails, Diane is mocking this man's wife, laughing about her, making fun of her appearance, talking about how she'd changed after having kids. Let that sit with you for a moment. This wasn't just betrayal. This was cruelty. Marcus prints every single email, folds them up, tucks them away somewhere safe. Then he closes the laptop and goes to make dinner like nothing happened. Because Marcus understands something most people don't. The best revenge isn't loud, it's patient. He reaches out to an old friend, a cop named Ray. Ray points him toward a guy who used to be on the force, a private investigator. We'll call him Ron. Marcus hires Ron, hands him the printed emails, tells him what little he knows, and Ron gets to work. Within weeks, Ron has everything. Photos, timestamps, locations, a full detailed report. Here's what the report said. Every time Diane claimed she was taking the kids to her parents, she was. She'd drop them off, kiss them goodbye, and then drive straight to a rundown motel on the edge of town, where a man was already waiting for her. They'd spend a few hours together, then she'd pick up the kids, drive home, make dinner, and smile at Marcus like everything was fine. For months. She did this for months. Marcus reads the report once, sets it down, and picks up the phone to call a divorce lawyer because Marcus had watched his own parents destroy each other through cheating when he was a kid. He knew what that poison did to a family. He had felt it in his bones. Growing up, he had promised himself he would never live that way, and he meant it. But before he filed a single paper, he needed one more thing. He needed to know who the man was. He asked Ron to dig deeper, and Ron came back with a name. We'll call him Derek. Derek wasn't just some random guy. Derek was married. He had 3 kids of his own. And here's where it gets truly interesting. Derek worked as a vice president of sales at a company, his father-in-law's company. Marcus sat back in his chair, and for the first time since this nightmare began, he smiled. Marcus didn't rage. He didn't confront anyone. He didn't show up anywhere screaming or making threats. Number. Marcus organized. He called his lawyer. He called Ron. And he laid out a plan so clean, so timed, so perfectly coordinated. It reads like something out of a movie. Here's what he did. He had his lawyer prepare the divorce papers for Diane. He asked Ron to prepare extra copies of his full investigation report, photos, times, dates, everything. And then he picked a single day. One day when everything would happen at the exact same time. On that morning, Marcus kissed his kids goodbye. He went to work, and while he sat at his desk across town, a process server walked into Diane's workplace and handed her the divorce papers in front of her coworkers. At that very same moment, Ron was sitting across from Derek's wife. We'll call her Carol. Ron placed the report on the table. The photos, the dates, the motel receipts, everything. According to Marcus, Carol seemed like a genuinely good person. Someone who had no idea what was happening behind her back. Someone who deserved the truth. So Marcus made sure she got it. What Carol chose to do with that information, that was entirely up to her. Carol chose nuclear. Within days, she cleaned out their joint bank account, packed up the kids, and left. Then she called her father. Her father, the man who owned the company where Derek worked as VP of sales. The man who had built that business from nothing. The man who had trusted Derek with a senior role, a salary, a future. That man picked up the phone and fired Derek on the spot. But it didn't stop there. Because the house where Derek lived, the house where he'd built what looked like a perfect family life, Carol's parents owned it. Derek got an eviction notice. No job, no wife, no house, no savings, all in the same week. And Derek, the man who had spent months sneaking around, laughing behind Marcus's back, mocking his own wife to a woman he was cheating with, Derek came apart. He showed up at the house. There was an argument. Carol's brother stepped in. And Derek got his nose broken right there on the front porch of the house that used to be his. Then came the restraining orders, then the police reports, then the criminal charges, then the jail time. Derek's divorce was ugly, public record ugly, the kind where court documents get filed and anyone can look them up years later. And Marcus looked them up, every detail, every consequence. The last anyone heard, Derek had quietly left the state entirely. No social media presence, no LinkedIn, no trace. A man who had a VP title, a family, a home, and a future, vanished. Carol, on the other hand, Carol went to work at her father's company, rebuilt her life, eventually took over the business when her father retired. She turned out just fine. And Marcus raised his kids. He kept things civil with Diane. Not warm, not cold, just professional, focused on the children. Nothing more, nothing less. He didn't hate her, he didn't chase drama, he didn't badmouth her. He simply moved forward because the kids loved their mom, and Marcus was a good enough man to respect that, even after everything. Now that his kids are grown adults, he doesn't speak to Diane at all, not out of bitterness, just because there's nothing left to say. Marcus never raised his voice, never made a scene, never did a single thing that wasn't completely legal. He just gathered the truth, armed the right people with it, and let reality do the rest. Some people blow up, some people beg and cry. Some people spend years bitter, angry, destroyed by what someone else did to them. And then there's Marcus, quiet, patient, precise. He didn't destroy Derek. Derek destroyed Derek. Marcus just made sure the right people were watching. So I want to ask you something before you go. Was this revenge justified? Or did Marcus go too far by involving Carol and blowing up a second family? Drop your answer in the comments below. Team Marcus, or did he cross a line? And if you've ever had to deal with betrayal like this, how did you handle it? Because honestly, not everyone has Marcus's patience. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because we drop stories like this every single week. And trust me, the next one is even darker.